Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about setting powders. I'm going to give you tips, I'm going to give you advice, I'm going to tell you like what not to do and what to do. Anyway, so you can understand how to use loose setting powders, because back then I didn't know how to use it and I had to do so much research on how to go ahead and use loose powder, and I made so much mistakes. I made mistakes going out and then getting the flashback of that white ghost face looking like a raccoon and whatnot. It just looks so scary, but I'm gonna give you tips on how to avoid those situations. But nowadays, like, these loose powders are amazing. They work so well. Like, the formula that they've been putting in it is making your job easier with your makeup. Like, it is applying very good. So I'm gonna give you all these tips on how to work with it. So why is it important to use loose setting powder? For me, it's important because it sets my concealer and my foundation. Foundation lasts 10 times longer when I use a loose setting powder rather than just using it with a face powder. Because if I use a face powder, it'll last and it'll set very good and it'll last longer. But when I use a loose setting powder, it lasts like 10 times longer. So another thing is, even if you're just using a foundation and you're not setting anything but a spray, that's pretty good too. But if you want to be like really on the safe zone and know that like your makeup's gonna last all night if you're going out, or if you're going to like a wedding or to an event or something and you know you're gonna be sweating and stuff, then you know you want to go ahead and lock in your makeup really well, and the loose setting powders is gonna do that. Another thing about setting your foundation or your concealer with the loose setting powder is that the loose setting powder also makes your blemishes go away with the makeup. It highlights, it's easy to like clean up your contour. It literally makes your wrinkles like not disappear, but it kind of makes it fade away also. It makes like your little blemishes, your wrinkles like look very like faded. Like, it just looks like your skin is more flawless than your skin naturally is. My face is like pretty good here, and then when I'm not wearing makeup you can tell like my little flaws here and there, and it's because I feel like the loose powder like conceals it more. It literally has like a little bit of some color in it where it just highlights and covers more of it. So those are like the reasons why I recommend using loose powders, because it literally makes your makeup last for a very long time. Whenever you use setting powder, you don't want to use SPF. So anything with moisturizer, primer, foundation, concealer, anything using SPF, it's gonna cause that flashback. So when flashbacks happen, that doesn't mean because of your camera, that doesn't mean because of the setting powder itself. It means like the moisturizer and like everything else, like you have some SPF in it that causes the flashback when you're taking pictures, you know? So it doesn't happen like in person when you're like with someone, but when you take pictures and that flash, that's when it has like that ghost face. I like to use SPF during the day. During the night, I don't worry about needing to use SPF because the sun isn't out, so I'll use like another foundation that doesn't have SPF during the night, and I know I'm gonna be taking pictures and all. But if I'm gonna be taking pictures during the day, I don't use any I don't really use loose powder. I just use like a MAC Studio Fix powder, or I'll just use like a regular face powder, because it'll be okay to take pictures and there won't be any ghost white cast in it. But if you're gonna be using loose powder, just try to use different foundations that don't have SPF in it. I'm gonna go ahead and put primer on. So meanwhile my primer is like setting in, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some other setting powders that like I have experienced good and bad with. The first setting powder that I ever gotten is this NYX Studio Finishing Powder. Oh snap. So I've only used this powder about 3 times, and the third time I just used it like a month ago, and still I cannot use this powder because it's super drying to my face. Like, I just used it under my eyes and I was just at work and I just felt like my eyes were cracking. I felt like I was creating wrinkles, or I was gonna like, I don't know, it just felt like my skin was gonna break. It just, every time I looked up and looked down, like it just hurt. Like my skin just felt really bad and drying. It just causes like, In general, using loose powders, it can be drying, especially if you have dry skin. So that's why it's very important to go ahead and have a good skincare routine where you're prepping your skin really good. And it's very good and important to wear eye cream. Especially, even if you're young, I recommend using an eye cream. You don't have to go ahead and spend $50 on an eye cream. I recommend if you're like more mature, if your skin is more mature, then yes, I recommend investing into a really good expensive eye cream. But if you're like still young and everything, even using the e.l.f. eye cream, that one's still good too. I think that one's just like $10 and it lasts me like about 3 months and I still think it's good. So if as long as you're prepping your skin really good, loose powders shouldn't be like a really big deal and shouldn't be drying to your skin. But this one is super drying. I do not recommend this one, but I'm pretty sure I saw a new packaging that they have, so I think the new NYX is the new NYX finishing powder is probably a new formula to it that maybe it's better than this one, but that I know of, this one was no good for me and it did cause white cast, but because back then I didn't know that SPF caused the big flash. But other than that, my makeup looked drying. It just looked super powdery. It did set my makeup, but it just felt super drying and you could tell that it was powdery everywhere. This one is 0.21 ounces. Next setting powder that I'm gonna talk about is the Morphe Banana Powder, 0.35 ounces. I cannot remember how much I bought this one for. If I were to guess, I'm guessing $10, $15. I'm not sure, but this is 0.35 ounces. This is banana. And it's yellow. I love yellow tones for darker skin tones. So like even me, like I think yellow works really good on my skin tone. And this feels a little bit just like the NYX one. It feels very different. It doesn't feel like the Mercier or the Airspun. It just feels very, I cannot explain how it feels. Like it just feels really, really soft, but it kind of feels drying in a way. I'm not sure how to explain it, but this one isn't that drying, but I do not bake with this one. Just use a brush for it. The type of brush I like to use when I'm trying to set under my eyes is a Morphe E48 brush. This is just like a very good fluffy dense brush. Just pack it and then I just apply it under, and after a couple of seconds I just go ahead and dust it off. And it works really, really good to like go ahead and like hold it in place. I use a damp beauty blender and I go ahead and like pack it in. I feel like it's more drying, so I rather use a brush than a sponge for the Morphe. Then I like this banana setting powder from Bellapierre. I just did like a little review on it with the Ipsy versus Birchbox. This one's actually really, really good. The feel to it is completely different. It's way different than the Morphe one and the NYX. This one's soft also, but it just feels like it's getting into your skin. Like this one feels, the other two feels like it's just on your skin. This one feels like it's actually like blending in. I'm not sure, but this one's also like banana. It says banana also. I have not baked with this also. I've only used just a powder itself and just set it, but it looks really good. It holds everything in place. This is a really good setting powder, especially that like I got it for a sample. Now that my primer is set, I'm gonna go ahead and use the Maybelline Fit Me. So on one face, I'm gonna go ahead and bake, and then the other face, I'm just gonna go ahead and like do the powder. Just so you guys could see like 2 examples how to use it. This is the one that I go to most of the time, even when I'm gonna go ahead and like go out with my friends and stuff. Like this is the one I like to go to more than the Mercier, just because like I feel like they both work the same, honestly. Like Mercier is like $40 and the Airspun is like probably $6, and they're both cruelty free also. But this one is so much bigger. The Mercier is 1 ounce, which is $40, or it's like $36, but almost $40. And this one's $6 and it's 2.3 ounce. So you're getting more than double for $6 only. And honestly, it works the same. I bought this one first before I got the Airspun, and if I knew better, then I would have just gotten the Airspun. But I got so much, I got so much. Like seriously, this one has a lot, and I use this one way much more than the Laura Mercier, and you can tell that you can see that the powder is still full, and I grabbed this one so much. If you guys are looking for really good setting powder, I recommend the Airspun. It's the cheapest one out of all the setting powders that I have, and it honestly works amazing. This one is my go-to, and it's the cheapest one out of all of them. So before anything, I'm gonna go ahead, so like you just put the powder, you hit it and then you're just gonna grab it with your beauty blender like this, because some of the products right there, you're just gonna grab it, and then you just put the lid on like this. You don't put it back in unless you want to, but because like I just put it where all my makeup's at, I just leave it like this, so the next time I could easily grab it again. So under my eyes, I'm gonna go ahead on the side where there is nothing, I'm gonna go ahead and blend my concealer, because you want to take off all that creasing, and then I'm gonna flip it and bake. As I'm baking, it actually starts to highlight my face. So basically it like lightens it up. It's beautiful how that happens. Like for example, in case my concealer is a little bit too dark and I bake it, or even just setting it, it lightens it up. So, but it looks very natural. This is my Morphe M528 brush. I'm gonna go ahead and contour my face, just this side, and I'm gonna pretend that like I overdid it and I went like under here, you know, just like example, like I just like overdid it right there, and like just making a mess with my contour, you know. I'm gonna go like a little bit under right there, and like a little bit too much right here. So like I overdid it right here. If you bake under your cheekbone, you're gonna highlight it, and then you're gonna also clean up all the contour. So look at this. I'm just gonna go ahead do that, and then I'm just gonna pick it up here because I want to set like where my smile line is at, because I smile way too much. Your foundation isn't like going into your face line or your smile line. And then I like to go ahead and bring it into my nose, like on the side right here, because some foundations, not all of them, tend to like cake up, and if you go ahead and like set it really good in there, it doesn't like peel or cake up or anything. I like to put it on my T-zone. So like the T-zone is a T right here, so it's like on the forehead, right here, your nose, like your under eyes, and I like to do it right here, just like where I tend to be a little bit oily, because it absorbs all your natural oil. If you're on the oily side, this is going to be very helpful, because if you go ahead and set your foundation, you don't get that much oily, because the powder is actually absorbing that oil, so it looks more mattifying and it doesn't look very drying either. I'm gonna be grabbing the Laura Mercier one. For anything, I'm gonna go ahead and try to get all that little creasing that I got for waiting a while, because before setting your under eyes, you want to have everything really blend, and then you don't want to look anywhere. You don't want to blink, or try not to blink, and then grab some. So I have some right there. I'm usually faster at this, but because I'm talking and everything, so I just go ahead and dust it in, and then just pack it into my nose, and then just keep patting it in. And then I'm just setting my whole foundation, and then with the big fluffy brush, I'll just go ahead and dust it all off. But I'm just gonna use this brush because it's very easy to go ahead and take it off. And then look how well it just like cleaned the contour, and then look how well this one is also. Then I'm gonna go ahead and set my foundation real quick. Go ahead and use the Photo Focus Wet n Wild setting spray, and I'm gonna spray all over my face, because if you do look closely enough, it does have like a little bit of powder, but any powder makeup is gonna do this, any powder makeup. So the way you could go ahead and make your makeup look very skin-like is using a setting powder. It literally makes your face look like you don't have any makeup on it. It just sticks to your skin and it looks very like dewy in a way, especially if you're using like a glowy dewy finishing setting spray like the Pixie Glow setting one. So this is helping my skin absorb it in a way, and it's helping the makeup stick to the skin so it doesn't look like powdery anymore. So that's like one really big tip that I recommend using setting sprays. If you don't own a setting spray, I recommend getting one, even like the cheapest one also. Like this one's like probably $6 and it works really, really good. The only thing I can say about it is that it's so little. For $6, I cannot complain. I just love like how the finishing is. Like the Laura Mercier and the Airspun is my favorites. Like, but the Airspun is only $6, so I recommend using that one. Like it just looks very beautiful. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you think this video is very helpful for you, there it goes, thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I'm Darla Pember. Please subscribe down below so you guys can get notified when I'm posting new videos again. To post twice, 3 times a week if I can. But I'm Darla Pember. This is my doggy here. It's Chloe. She's just being a little sleepy butt on my legs. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.